Hello, trading has closed on the 18th of May 2023. As always, we'll do our disclaimer, go over our calls, and make some predictions. This is my trading plan for tomorrow, which is the 19th of May 2023. Please trade at your own risk because my calls can be wrong. Look for the pattern with the early low. It tends to be a rally day with a high in the final hour. We got that. Tomorrow, I believe, we'll also have the early low. We said I could explain a move either direction, and I was hoping today's action would clarify things. I think it did. I said I had a great pattern for a top yesterday, but when those things fail, they tend to fail big, and that's the big move that came as a consequence. I did say if we gapped up and traded higher, that even though I wanted some consolidation here, I would believe it. We did trade higher, but there was no gap up, so it's really wrong for me to take credit. I will take credit for not saying to go short. I think we're still going to break up on the upside. Well, during the day, early on, MeJT said higher prices were coming. They certainly did. This yellow line is a support area. That support held. MeJT said this rally would retrace, said this drop would retrace, and that's all played out. This is Tom DeMark's TDST line. We broke through it. Resistance goes to one full bar past the line. So this is resistance. If we trade one bar completely over this bar, over today's high, that breaks out of resistance. Nothing's impossible. That would be quite a challenge because it would be a bar completely over the upper Bollinger Band, and it's hard to stage a rally with a bar completely over the band. I would still prefer it if this resistance held and we consolidated first, but just because I prefer it, that doesn't mean it's going to happen. And we've broken through this line here, which is significant. It means to me that we're going higher, but the week's not over and you have to close above it. And this is a weekly chart. So if we close under 41.66 and change, you haven't really broken through. Well, this is the chart I had been using. It's the count I had been using. It's becoming less and less appealing to me. If we stopped right here, you could say these numbers still work, but I'm going to put more confidence in the alternate chart I've been showing. Well, this is the alternate chart that says we made a leading diagonal triangle, and we're in wave 2. This was 1, we're making 2. Now it's possible that wave 2 is that short, doesn't break any rules. But I'd be happier if wave 2's duration had a greater relationship to the duration of wave 1. Someone told me that major waves like this should last longer than minor waves like these, and that hasn't happened yet. So I'd be happier if this isn't 2, but that's A and we're making B doesn't make me right. But if we are making B, it'd be nice to have a place to look for a top. Well, we get to cross 41.84 MeJT target off the list. Look at resistance right from 2.5 weeks ago. And from last August, we had the next target, 42.0305. We came within a fraction of a point right at the high. The market never forgets these numbers. There is a tolerance, but that's not within the tolerance. Still hasn't been satisfied, but if we do satisfy it on Friday, tomorrow, there should be resistance over that price. Resistance doesn't have to hold, But again, if we're not completing wave 2, I'd like to find some number over this price. Well, if this isn't wave 2, but it's actually A, you could count this as A, and this is B, and C would be equal to A around 4208.60. So let's pencil in 4208.60 tomorrow, the 19th, and see if we can find some other things that go along with that time and that price. Now again, this doesn't have to be right. This could be 1, this could be 2. We could be off and running in wave 3, but let's see what else comes in tomorrow with that number. This is a 45-degree Gann-Fan angle. If we trade 1 day higher, we'll have 819 bars, and 10 points higher is 4208, and that would be 819 points, because that's closer to 809 than it is to 808. That would be 819 bars and 819 points in a Gann-Fan hit. So that's additional evidence that there's resistance around 4208 and change tomorrow. This is Gann's square of 9. The market low was 34.91.58. Closest numbers 34.92, happened on October 14th. And if you go at this major line, making me work for it. If you go at this major line, you come up with tomorrow 519.23 right on the line. And you also have where's my price? There's 4207, and we were talking 4208, and that's close enough for me. We also had the volatility index, VIX, dropped to 1605 today. It shows everyone's convinced we're going higher. I do think this isn't the end of the rally. I do think we're going higher, but I do think we're coming into resistance only about 10 or 11 points away from today's close. And while resistance doesn't have to hold, I think I would be prepared to take action if that number hit. Don't have to commit money now. So tomorrow's pattern has really low. It could still gap up. SPX is breaking free of resistance and should go much higher. However, it hasn't completely broken free of it yet. We're coming into strong resistance around 4208.60 cash, give or take a little. If we stall there, nothing prevents a pullback. And if that happens, if the pullback happens, the market would then be free to rally without overhead resistance because the Bollinger Band is going to move. If such a pullback occurred, I'd expect it to take a modest amount of time and not complete in just a day or two. So if no one's long into this big rally, I know a lot of people have been saying we're going to crash here. I've been saying we're going up, and I still feel that way. I think you're going to have at least a possibility of another chance to get on the train going higher, because if we stop around 10 points north of here, there could be a correction of some size before the real fun begins on the upside. But just because that number works doesn't mean some other number won't, and I wouldn't commit money until you saw the response to that price. Tomorrow has the early low, and that's today's call.